Okay, in this video lesson, we're going to be solving quadratic equations by factoring. Here are the steps. The first step, you need to always set the equation equal to 0. Step 2, you'll go ahead and factor the trinomial. And then step 3, you'll take those factors and set them equal to 0 and actually solve them. All right, let's take a look at an example. Okay, so in this first example, we have x squared minus 9x minus 12 equals negative 4x minus 6. Okay, step 1 is to set this equation equal to 0. So we're going to get all of our x squareds and all our x to the 1 power and our constants together. Okay, this is ax plus bx plus c, but we need it equal to 0. All right, so let's move this minus 4x. We can move a minus 4x by adding 4x. That will cancel it on this side, but we can only do that if we add 4x to the left side as well. Well, now our equation says x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals negative 6. All right, well, now we simply need to move the minus 6 over here with the negative 12, but to move a minus 6, we need to add 6. So we're going to add 6 to the right side in order to cancel, but we have to add 6 to this side. Now again, be sure you're only adding 6 to the constant. We're not adding 6 to a 5x or anything like that, okay? So a negative 12 plus 6 is what we're going to combine over here. So our new equation is going to be x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals 0. Now we have an equation that is set equal to 0, and we can factor this trinomial or this quadratic equation. So remember, when we factor our quadratic equations, these trinomials, we can use the X puzzle, where we learn to find the factors of a times c that equal b. So in this one, we have a times c, so 1 times negative 6, that's negative 6. Actually, I'm going to put that down here at the bottom. So negative 6, and they need to equal negative 5. So I'm going to write that up here, negative 5. Now, again, you'll see some videos where this is done differently, where the a times c is at the top and the b is down at the bottom. It doesn't matter. What you have to remember is we're multiplying a times c, and we're finding the factors of that product that equal a sum of negative 5, okay? So when you think of the factors of 6, you think of 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. And if we need these to add together to equal a negative 5, okay, we're going to need to use a 1 minus 6. All right, so we're using 1 and negative 6, because 1 minus 6 equals negative 5, and 1 times negative 6 equals negative 6. So in this example, because our our coefficient here of ax squared is 1, then all we have to do is write our factors as x plus 1 times x minus 6. But remember, all this is set equal to 0. So what we're going to do to actually solve the next step in this that you have not done, to solve this equation, to figure out what the value is x, we need to turn each one of these factors equal to 0. So let's go ahead and set these up separately. We have one factor that's x plus 1, and we'll set it equal to 0. And we have another one, x minus 6, and we'll set it equal to 0. Okay? Now, this isn't necessarily complicated, but if we were to solve this just like a normal equation, we're trying to isolate x plus 1 equals 0. Some of you obviously can do that in your head, but if we were to work it out, we're going to subtract 1 from this side to cancel it, and subtract 1 from this side. And of course, 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So on this side, x equals negative 1. That's a solution. Of course, you'll notice negative 1 is just the opposite of plus 1. And that's all you're really doing. You're just taking the opposite of that factor there. So x minus 6, of course, that's going to be a positive 6. If I were to just work it out to show you, we're adding 6 to both sides to cancel it here, but we have to do it. Again, it's an equation to both sides, and we end up with x equals 0 plus 6, which is 6. So your two solutions for this original quadratic equation is x equals -1 and x equals 6. Now, when quadratic equations are graphed, the reason that you see these two solutions, and it doesn't always work out two solutions, but quadratic equations create a U shape. Sometimes they open up, and sometimes they open down, okay? But you'll notice that where it crosses the x-axis is actually the solutions. So let me show you on this next screen. I've graphed it for you. So this is actually a screenshot of the original, the graph, of the original equation, x squared minus 9x minus 12 equals -4x minus 6. And you can see, even though you really can't see the U shape because it's a really big graph, you see that it intersects the x-axis here at -1 and 6. And that was our two solutions, -1, -6. So you can use your calculator as well and just graph the functions to see where they intersect or what the x-intercepts are. And that's where we find our solutions.